A community revenue-driven futurism publication that has been able to add different layers of evergreen content types and conversion avenues at every stage of its growth without compromising its core audience is always inspiration. However, can its streak continue? In this special WordPress 7-part teardown series, Jeremy Fremont and Vahe Arabian explore Wired, a discovery of how technology is changing every aspect of our lives, from culture to business, science to design. Over to you guys.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our special edition podcast of the publisher WordPress Takedowns in partnership with Multidots. I'm Vahe, the founder of Set Publishing, and we have our co-host today, Jeremy Fremont. How are you, Jeremy?
Doing great. I'm glad to be back.
Awesome. We've been going through quite a number of these teardowns in the past few days, and looking forward to going through Wired in a bit more detail now. We alluded to Wired in our previous episode on TechCrunch, in that they're much larger, and we can see as well, as we'll show you, all the listeners shortly, or explain to the listeners shortly, how although their traffic trends going a bit up and curvy, they're going to the upward direction, and it's more about how they are continuing to not only capitalize on the trend of monetization avenues that is continuing to add on layers on that, but they're able to do it that doesn't impact what their core business is. So before we go through and scale their content production, basically, which is what we want to explain more towards today. So before we go into a bit more detail about that, Jeremy, let's go through and run through the website. Well, what did you see from your end?
Well, I saw that Vahe is looking to get a great massage, either for himself or for his wife. So our hope is that from this podcast, there's enough revenue generated, so he's going to be able to go out and pamper himself. So that's number one. But realistically, all jokes aside, Wired.com, right? It's been around for a long time. It's a very authoritative site. So the parent company of Wired.com, I believe, is Condé Nast. Is that correct? I mean, if we scroll down to the very bottom, we should be able to see who is the parent company.
Correct. That's right. Condé Nast is the...
And so ultimately, the parent company owns a lot of different web properties. And when you're part of a much larger publishing unit along those lines, you're going to be able to have a lot of bandwidth at your disposal. Bandwidth when it comes down to be able to produce content, bandwidth when it comes down to be able to understand what works and what doesn't, when it comes to your advertising, how to display ads, how to generate affiliate revenue, be part of the performance marketing, networking. Think about all of the different components. Also, subscriptions. So one of the things that Wired does a little bit differently is we'll see at their top bar is sign in and subscribe. So being able to subscribe, and here at the very bottom, right, subscribe for 1 year, you'll be able to see these interesting ways that they've actually listed out, and they've done lots of tests. At the top there, we can see this is a V2 offer. So one of the things that you should do as a publisher is you should constantly be testing. Right? This offer of $5 for 1 year, it might not perform as good as a $7 offer for 1 year. So when you're in the process of trying to collect digital subscribers, don't just try one thing. Constantly be iterating, constantly be testing these different items out, and track the analytics and the metrics that's associated with it so that you can determine what is working best, and utilize various holidays or events that are coming up, because then it can keep a unique, fresh look. So that's one of the things that I think obviously Wired.com and any of the properties owned by the parent company probably do a really good job of. So it's a learning that you can do when you go and navigate to Wired.com if you happen to be a publisher yourself. So that's the first thing that I noticed that's different than some of the other sites that we've looked at, is that they really put a big emphasis on being able to subscribe and putting that gated subscription paywall. As we're starting to navigate the site, I'm sure we'll run into that and we'll see it other places throughout.
And so, yeah, how do you feel like that also leads and drives their content strategy? Because, historically, when you consider Wired, people probably Condé Nast took over from them. They were considered purely tech, but we can see since then they're in culture, they're heavily affiliate focused, product focus, and I've got a tip as well that I want to share with you guys shortly. But how do you feel like that's sort of dictating the editorial strategy and allowing them to keep true to more of their core audience?
I mean, I think that they have to segment to their audience and see if that they've reached kind of a threshold in bandwidth. And I'd imagine that ultimately, because of the fact that there's a network of different sites, they wanted to be able to see if they could expand and grow the audience size, right? So that's what I would imagine that acquisition looked like when they were brought underneath of that parent company. You have to think about where are your resources, where are your strengths already? So Condé Nast is already going to be really great when it comes down to anything travel related, right? So how else can you continue to expand? An acquisition, you want to utilize the assets that you already own in order to be able to actually maximize those. So another thing I would imagine, I mean, since there is merch right at the top, that Wired probably really focuses in on affiliate revenue that is going to be taking place. So I'm assuming that, if you're looking for a Black Friday list 30 days before Black Friday is coming up, they've got a very amazing, significant list that they're going to be sharing with you, and they're going to really take advantage of everything along those lines as well. This looks like it's just straightforward Wired merch, so I'm sure when we're navigating around to other parts of the site, we might see some more of those other things. But that also shows a loyal audience, right? That somebody would want to buy merch that shows Wired. And that's another thing that not all publishers do, right? If you don't build a big enough brand and a following, that actual kind of culture around your brand, you're missing out on an opportunity to be able to sell merchandise, which can have high profit margins and just be free advertising when people are walking around with your brand on it.
And I think, Jeremy, on that, like, we see how heavily focused they are on product as their key revenue strategy. But what I think indirectly, what they've done in terms of the subscription component, where they are providing value-added components for just $5 per year, or even $29 per year, is relatively cheap. Like it's not like a B2B publication where you could be paying 5 figures, 6 figures. Is that they're actually getting, it's like a psychological price validation. I'm willing to pay. They'll be like, I'm willing to pay $5 for this. So it's already getting them into the mindset of, hey, they're giving me all this value for this price. I might be in the future willing to click on their product or buy the merch product, or click on an affiliate link that might help them get more revenue because of the diversity of the content that they have in terms of culture and tech.
Absolutely. And once you're subscribed, how much more loyal are you, right? Any type of news, what's your one source going to be? Your one source is going to be where you're already subscribed and contributing and paying, right? So I think that's going to be extremely beneficial in order to be able to continue to bring back, your loyal visitors over and over and over and over again to consume your content. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, right? When you're looking at supporting a publisher, if you really appreciate their content and their quality and their authors who are producing that, of course you want to be able to contribute to the success of that business so that they can continue to go in existence. There's been lots of publishers that have unfortunately, become extinct, become dinosaurs, regardless if that is a print publication or, smaller publications who just have a hard time being able to stay afloat. Obviously, Wired is a little bit larger than that, but it holds true, right? Everybody needs revenue in order to be able to sustain and produce quality content that's original.
So yeah, let's go through quickly. I want to share with you a little bit of the journey that I see from mine in terms of reverse engineering. How do they, like, there are publishers that as soon as there's a new way to monetize content, or they want to decide to create a revenue stream, they'll go all in, and then they'll literally go all in and bust. How did Wired do that? Let's take a bit of a look. But before, so let's first look at the current size of their traffic and audience. So as per the previous podcast episode as well that we recorded, we said that it was roughly around 24 million users per month. I'd say that they're probably in the top 3 because their direct competitors are not only smaller than them, but if you go a little bit, and we've got fairly significant, most of it is US, but it's a pretty international audience, long tail. But we also see the fact that many of the other competitors, like a PC Mag, they're pretty much on par with many of the larger publishers as well. Besides CNET, but CNET in comparison in total is still going downward trend. But when I look at then the overall history from an organic search perspective, we're seeing them going towards the upward trajectory in ebbs and flows and ups and downs. So it's never going to be a bell curve and stuff. And I can show you one quick example as well, Jeremy, which I think was pretty interesting. Like they've gone so much into the stages of being able to arbitrage their content and add layers of content monetization, but now they've actually driving quite a bit of traffic from coupons. And you might say you might be saying like, what does coupons got to do with Wired magazine, where they're pretty much just more culture and so forth.
Well, everybody loves coupons, Vahe. That's what I would say.
I mean in this in this time of inflation, it definitely makes sense. But I would have not expected Wired to do this. Maybe more of a generalist news website. But have a look at this. So coupons, they got top shops, top coupons, top categories. Now, what many of the publishers do once they've been able to create those additional triages without compromising their core topical authority and business is then they go through and try to create scalable strategies that then focuses on capturing first-party data that they can then use to sell as part of their first-party data product offering to potential advertisers. So one of the ways that this has been done in the past, let's say 3 to 5 years, because I've seen this happen a lot, is through coupons. So literally all they've done is programmatically created this page. I would say like maybe even the majority of these old coupons aren't valid coupons anymore. They roll out this page. They have some programmatic content, SEO content on the side where they're answering questions on FAQs, internal linking, and so forth. And then as soon as someone clicks on an offer, they'll be directed to that third party website. So they're going to be taken. Yeah, they might either receive that coupon, or I think they've also been taken to the partner website, and they're driving. So it's really performance marketing driven.
And you can see in the ID string, right, that it's an affiliate link. So they are going to be earning revenue if that user is going to be making a purchase, right? So it's another lead or another revenue generation source directly for them.
Yeah. Now, what the nuance with this is right? Like, and I've seen this time and time again with many publishers. They'll be very quick to be like, I want to expand into doing multiple categories. And so what will happen is they'll expand to multiple categories, but then they'll see the performance of their core content drop. That's causes confusion with the topical authority and basically with Google and maybe not even having enough content on this section. So what many of the bigger publishers do is they actually create separate WordPress installations on the same domain. So for example, we know that Wired's on WordPress VIP. They'll create on /coupon /WP admin. And then you see how it just has only the categories relating to coupon. They've literally have its own section on the website. And it's not even linking from the main website itself. So that they keep the topical authority separate, but they're also leveraging the domain, the history of the domain. Because if they start this again and start from scratch, it's going to take so much time for them to actually compete to rank for many of those terms. So I think
so one of the things, Vahe, just so the audience grasps that fully, is that as Vahe was talking about, technically it could be set up as a multi-site infrastructure. So everything that is /coupons is technically its own individual WordPress instance, its own individual homepage that's separate and distinctly different than wired.com. So it has its own navigation menu. Everything's focused on coupons. So if you're on the primary website, you're not actually seeing coupons anywhere from the navigation menu. So they're really focused on driving traffic directly to the coupons and then keeping people who are focused on saving money and coupons. And then what they do, because they break it up into 2 different silos, they can actually give themselves a moat or a layer of protection mechanism from the search engines who are crawling their site and not seeing that they've produced a whole bunch of things that aren't necessarily relevant to their core brand, right?
Exactly, because that's again, and that also indirectly ties to having one WordPress installation and to cover every single different, like a massive site like wired, there's going to be performance issues. There's going to be clashes between different functionalities. There's going to be core budget constraints from Google because they're trying to like imagine like you're trying to read a book or you're trying to eat a big piece of pie. Like you can't try to eat it all at once. So they just try to cut it up and then just separate it so that every single one lives on its own, but it effectively creates a moat around the Wired brand. So for our podcast listeners, what I'm actually showing you on the screen here as well is like from the coupon programmatic rollout strategy itself, they're getting about 15% of their traffic. So they're getting about 9 million, I think, or 8 million at the moment from just organic search. They're getting 1.3 million from just this strategy alone. And it's not a lot of competition, very templatized, but it sort of helps them with taking it to the next level in terms of, and you can see here since August, the number of pages went from 347. They've 4x'd the number of pages that they rolled out.
Wow, and over how many months?
I'd say since the past year.
Okay, wow, that's incredible. And you can see by the URL structure, they're going after relevant search terms that people are searching often. DoorDash, Walmart, Uber Eats, Chipotle, Temu, right? All of these massive brands, right, that all have an ability to earn affiliate revenue, to join their affiliate programs, and what people are searching for. So lots of search volume directly for these. They're utilizing their authority, and they're just adding on a whole new segment that's continuing to work for them. If it wasn't working, you wouldn't see a massive increase in the number of the pages that they're actually being created. So yeah, 1.3 million hits directly to the coupon section of the website. For everyone else who's not thinking Wired.com, that's my first place to go grab coupons. It shows you it's an effective strategy that's working to generate some ka-ching and some additional bank in Wired.com's bank account.
Now, to those critical in a critical mind people / I know SEOs that would say, hey, this might constitute as a parasite SEO strategy, or parasite SEO is when someone else actually publishes content on the publishing site that they benefit from, but like more of a strategy that's leaning towards just doing random stuff on the website,
or more black hat. Maybe it's not the
it's not black, actually, yeah,
not necessarily black hat, but not necessarily the most common path that you would think of. So it's kind of an outlier path.
Yeah. So you might say like, I mean, this is eventually going to die out because as soon as one person does this and the other person does, well, yes, other people have actually done this. We've seen many like deal coupon websites that have done this by themselves. But the point that I want to make is what helps them stand the test of time is that they just keep it to the point, and they are doing this in proportion to other strategies that is helping them work on this and not overdoing one thing that might risk their business entirely. So look, they've only got 1,000 pages on that section, but in total the whole site is indexed at the moment based on Ahrefs. It's 179,000. So percentage-wise, in terms of number of pages, it's relatively small. But yeah, they're getting a big chunk of the traffic. So it shows that 80-20 rule works. But in terms of what they're doing as an overall business, they are thinking more broadly. They're doing things more broadly.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to think outside of the box, right? Yeah, if you're going to be able to make it and continuously grow. So hats off to whoever the person is who decided to move forward with this initiative. It's one that obviously seems to be paying off well. Let's look at just the overarching structure of the site. One of the things that we've looked at in a few different instances is just the search. If you don't mind, let's just do a search and see how their search results page is, because if you have lots of pieces of content, let's see how well your search function is.
It directly takes them to the search results page, which is interesting. Yeah. And then we can try racial justice.
Well, he's going right into the deep topics, folks.
Well, they've prompted me to do it, so let's just do it. It seems like it's a default search function from what I can see, right, Jeremy? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything too intensive about the search. It's pretty straightforward, right? They're making it very clean. You've got an image, you've got the category, you've got the title, who it was published by, and the published date. So yeah, nice and clean search. It's easy to be able to understand. I don't see a lot of filter functionality, so that I don't see it being very advanced for people to be able to find what they want as quickly as possible. But it's just going to show relevant information. Now, when we scroll into one of their individual article pages, so as we scroll down, that's interesting how it has the about section kind of within the body content of the text itself. So it's actually going to show a little bit about, Luke Elliott Summer, who I'd imagine, is that the author here, or is this somebody talking about the article?
No, he's the person who's created the opinion piece for this subject.
Okay. So he's created the opinion piece, yeah. So that's an interesting kind of layout feature functionality. 17% ad density. So they're underneath of that 30% ad density item that people should be striving for.
Yeah, definitely.
What happens when we scroll to the very bottom? Okay, you might also like another section where they're talking about who the author is. So they're probably building upon that authority. And now when we get to the very bottom, don't close that quite yet. The way that they offer their subscribe offer, right? Hey, you've got to the bottom. This is your last free article. And so what can you learn? You can learn all about AI, science, right? And so that's a nice, clear subscribe now. Could you possibly see if their item will be responsive, just to see what that looks like as far as the offering on mobile?
It's really overlaying the page from what it seems.
It's very large, right? So nobody's going to miss it. That's one of the things. Nobody's going to miss the offer itself. And then just the way that they have their mobile navigation menu. Let's see what that looks like. We open up that hamburger menu.
Yeah.
So nice and big, really focused. You're not going to miss it. The different information you want. So the primary categories and then all of the extras down below. So yeah, nice and clean. Following their black and white color scheme. So yeah, looks good all the way around. So yeah, thanks for reviewing that. I would love, maybe you could try to click on one more article in the desktop viewport, and let's just see what it looks like, because some of the times people make it so you can see just a little bit of text, and it's a nice clean way to be able to put up that gated information, and some of the times it's not done as well. So you always want to leave a little bit to the imagination. So if you don't mind, let's click on just any other article, since we've hit, I guess, what, our one article limit. That's a pretty tight paywall. You've got one article before you have to start paying. So that's interesting.
They're squeezing they've got that much traffic that they're squeezing the reader funnel.
Yeah.
To develop that. So it seems like, yeah, they realize the power of the 80/20 and how that's going to get them the eventual affiliate, I think, revenue. So I purposely clicked on the top tools because the top keys and stuff, because we looked at this in one of our previous episodes. I'm curious to see what difference they have or some similar lessons. So it seems like
it looks like they might not be gating the content that's really focused on, merchandise, right?
Correct.
Or it's taken a while, but they know that they're generating other revenue from you consuming as much content as you want, clicking on these affiliate links. So that's an also interested silo gated strategy. Here's information that's going to be, more heavy, focused on content that you would want to consume. This piece of information is gated. Here's relevant information that you'd want to consume, but more information about products, product reviews with affiliate links. Everybody and their mothers come in and read this, because we're going to be generating more revenue from you clicking on the affiliate ads throughout and then purchasing perhaps one of the products. So
it's a good leading strategy, because you can see here that they've already have the pop-up for newsletter subscribers. So they know that once they get you in terms of your email, then they'll find other ways to contextualize your user ID and data. And that's what's going to be most valuable to the potential partners and advertisers. And I think coupons like the next level step that people can take, like, obviously there's gonna be a lot of changes with depreciation of Chrome and many of the protocols that they're coming in with the privacy sandbox, but typically I think that's how a lot of publishers have gone around it in the past 5 years or so.
So
Yeah.
one of the things I think that Wired takes a little bit more, I guess, proactive or aggressive approach on is just any of those pop-ups, right? Making certain it's in your face to be able to subscribe, have your email be entered, be able to subscribe to become a paying member, to be able to view the article information. So yeah, I think that they do a good job there. And if you have the traffic and you're looking to be able to enter in, some sort of gated content information, probably a lot to be learned here from Wired.com.
Yeah, I think in comparison to PC Mag as well, which we explored in the previous episode, there are some similarities in terms of the way that they're writing it first hand perspective. I'm not seeing as much in terms of the disclaimers and a lot of the trust signals, because I think the fact that they are a brand or a portfolio helps them get away with a lot of those things, but they definitely are showing their experience and authoritative experience through the way that they're presenting the content. So irrespective, you can see here that whatever size publisher you are, now it's a good time to become a content creator, because you will be rewarded for being able to really provide your own first-hand perspective on anything that you create product-wise. So yeah, I think that, yeah.
I also agree. I mean, if you scroll at the very top, just their little note that they talk about how they will earn a little bit of a commission. I thought it was nice, clean language that they used. So they say, if you buy something using links in our stories, we may earn a commission. This helps support our journalism. Learn more. Please also consider subscribing to Wired. So it's short, it's simple, it's concise. It gets the point across, and who doesn't want to support their journalism if they like their writing style? So yeah, it's obviously a critical thing that you want to do to cover your bases. If you are going to earn affiliate commission, you need some form of notification to inform your website visitors that could be a possibility. And this is a nice, clean example as far as some of the language that's short, sweet, and concise.
Exactly. What's doing lots of this? Okay, save. Yeah, they're definitely focusing on every incremental step of the way they're trying to capture one interaction that's going to help them improve their reader funnel. So I can see that everything's very intentful here, as opposed to some sites that might just have just general content for publishing. Commenting is also a key part of UGC, and being able to constantly stay relevant as well, which is pretty helpful. Awesome.
What you're reviewing right now is the best video doorbells, which obviously technology changes fast. Are we seeing anywhere where they're showing original publish date and future publish date? Because one thing we talked about in a previous episode is the permalink and URL structure. So the permalink structure, you can see they don't have the date and the year of when it was published. So it's nice, short, wired.com/gallery/best-video-doorbells. Right, and that URL structure is not going to change when they're updating the content to feature the latest and the greatest video doorbells. So they're following short, concise, SEO friendly, and also user friendly permalink structures, which is great to see.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like they're just
Just updating the date.
I think so, but let me just quickly look at the source code, because they might have a modified date in the source code, but
they're not just showing it in the front end. Okay.
Modified in the metadata to begin. Yeah, article has date modified. They published. So they published it on the 14th, and then they've updated that on the 30th. So in their case,
in 2022, though, it was originally published in 2022.
There you
so
go. Yeah. There you go. You picked it up as well. Didn't see that. So I mean, it seems like there's small. It's like, yeah. I mean, there's always this common question, right? Like, do I have to show this updated versus current time date? And I would say to publishers, the rule of thumb that you need to look at is really assessing the nature of the content. So many tools, like many posts like best tools, don't necessarily need to have updated date, because the goal with the best doorbell cameras is to always have the most relevant content. And so, and if you're also making which if you always making significant changes, you don't need to always have updated date, because then it will then fall back on the default date from Google's perspective, which then sort of goes down. So the only time that I would suggest probably even considering more of that review and updated date is very timely news-driven content, so that Google News and other news sources understand that you are the original source for that content. It could be some of the how-to information that's going to be not as time sensitive as well.
But I would argue that point as well from the other side. From the search engine side, I agree wholeheartedly. From the user side, if I'm looking for the best Ring doorbells, I might look at this date, because I don't want to look at the best Ring doorbells if it doesn't show an updated date and I'm looking at content that's from 2022, because I'm like, what about all the Ring doorbells that came out in 2023 and 2024, right? So from a user and a consumer, I also would be looking for relevancy as far as a more recent published date that's shown. I don't need to see when it was originally published.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing here, right? They're just showing that single date of when it was the most recently updated, but I don't need to know when this article was originally published.
I think that's another nice and concise way of saying that, so as well, for sure.
All right. Well, this has been good. There's a lot, but last thing before we conclude, let's try to find a normal article. I want to see what that paywall of how they actually lay this out, because we hit our one article. Let's go to a just normal featured article. Yeah, something on business. Business is going to be good, or cultural. I feel this could have affiliate links on it. Sign up for Max. let's find out if we can read it.
There you go. I'm not surprised. There you go.
Yeah, so they're going to let us read this. Let's find a different one that is not going to have any affiliate links, because I almost guarantee they're going to have some sort of subscription notification to say sign up. What about politics? Politics is probably not going to have anything. Or business. Let's see if they're talking about Hulu is probably going to have something. Yeah. OpenAI and other tech giants will warn the U.S. government when they start new AI projects. It's not going to have affiliate links. So how much can we read here? Did they really? Maybe they're just opening it up. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, I reckon it might be a sideload thing. So it might be that ads are taking too long to load.
Or, folks, it might just be Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it always will go wrong. When you're trying to show something and demonstrate, it doesn't go as easy and quick as you think. So that could just be it as well. Let's try one last one. Let's go into politics, and let's just find out one more article. Also, one thing that I noticed directly on the homepage, for me, I felt it's a little bit cumbersome, right? There's a lot going on all over the place. A little bit different design aesthetic than is my preference. But, each to their own. Everyone has their own different items. So Congress clashes over the future of America's global spy program. Uh-oh. Getting hot and heavy in here. Oh, okay. So they've got an installed podcast right there. That's nice and clean. All right, folks. Well, that's it. We're not going to find their subscribe paywall. It's letting us view anything and everything we want, and they're not pushing as hard as I anticipated for that subscription for people to be able to sign up.
Sometimes that happens, but I think that's okay. It's another opportunity to consider if there's a prioritization on. Yeah, there you go. I think, like I knew that was going to happen. So it's taking until the whole site to load for this thing to come up, which is the common challenge with prioritizing the order of loading the page. So how would you go around that, Jeremy, so that people don't?
I would just say, if you're a consumer, be a really fast reader. Read. because then you're going to get around it. You can read as much content as you want. No, I think when you're in the process, right, obviously hire a smart development organization or have smart developers on staff, right? You can choose which feature sets should be loaded first and given priority when you're in the process of coding your site. So you've got to determine what is the most important to you as far as those assets. And it's something that, there's a lot that you can unpack there. There's a lot of different ways to tackle it. But that's just something that each and every single website owner needs to be thinking about, or somebody who's in the charge of managing a web property. So yeah, great point, and you nailed it spot on. It was taking a long time for that to load, and it looked like it was the very last thing that was rendered.
I mean, if they're wanting to get immediate subscribers, then they should defer the load of ads on this. They're probably using a story-wide template, right? Or they could just create a new template that doesn't show the ads after a certain number of visits, or just defer the loading of that so to show this first. Because I'm not sure if you remember, but when we loaded deck, they started showing this, and they started showing the side ads, and then once this popped up, then the side ads were removed, and then they started hiding the content. So like, why don't you prioritize those things first when the page loads, and then focus on the ads after? Because if people are going to be really dedicated and committed to buying, you're losing their attention. So every single second that the page loads, I forgot the stat again, but X% increases the likelihood of people to jump off if it takes a long time for them to load. So I think it's just really how you approach the user experience.
Yeah,
to
fast
really
loading websites, meeting core web vitals is good not only for Google, Yahoo, and Bing, right? Your search engines and getting higher organic rankings, but you're also taking care of your users, right? The faster your website is, the better the experience is. And especially if somebody, let's say, is out in the remote outback of Australia, you don't have a good cell reception, but you need your wired content, you still need it to load fast. So pay attention and treat your users right.
And make sure you take a satellite when you're in the outback of Australia, by the way, because we don't have internet all the time here. But yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting conversation. Key takeaways I want to just help wrap up and bring everything to focus, because there's going to be probably small publishers that are going to say, oh, well, there's a lot of different models and stuff that they're focusing on. First advice is, when you're considering your evolution of your website, think about how you're going to partition it so that it doesn't overlap with what your core business is that's helped you got this so far. So, i.e., you want to consider doing coupons as part of a way to develop your first party strategy. All good. Keep that in smaller proportion to your main efforts, and consider a separate partition install, like a multi-site installation. Experts like Multidots can help you with that if you get to that point, which many sites of our publishers and audience do. Indirect shout out to Multidots. Second step is, continue on the path of your first like EAT content. So they're still focusing a lot on, even on the product heavy content side, the first-hand experience.
And just EAT, for anybody who doesn't know, expertise, authority, and trust, right? So you can just type in EAT, what is that? Organic rankings. You'll learn a little bit more about EAT, Google, and how that can affect your rankings.
Absolutely. And keep doing that, and then you take the next step of starting to really hone in on your reader funnel. So you saw how certain sections of the website, they focus on the email subscriber first. In some sections that we know that there already are paid subscribers, that they'll just push towards setting a discounted offer to retain or attract new subscribers. So really be intentional on your different call to actions that can help you to optimize your user experience. Did I miss out on anything else, Jeremy, besides site search and site speed stuff as well? Or
no, I think you covered it. I mean, there's a lot to take in, and there's a lot to absorb. Anytime that you're looking at an organization that gets upwards of 10 million hits to their site each and every single month, right? Obviously, they've been doing it a while. They know what they're doing, and there's a lot to be learned from it. So there's a lot of layers to that onion. So it's been great to take a look at Wired.com with you, Vahe.
Likewise, and until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Special thanks to our sponsors and co-hosts Multidots for contributing to the 7-part WordPress Teardown series. Be sure to subscribe to future episodes at stateofdigitalpublishing.com and join us for a deep dive into our upcoming WordPress Publisher Success Week starting on February 26 by visiting stateofdigitalpublishing.com/WP-week. Until next time.